so
I
light and airy.
love it.
Thank you.
Honey, you did good. Yeah. Oh.
Well, hello, I'm Corrina Sephora, and I'm an artist and a metal sculptor, and my specialty is blacksmithing. I first began being interested in metalwork growing up. We had a farm, and my dad would go out to the shop and build things, and I'd go right there with him, and that's how I learned how to just be in this environment and not be like afraid of any of the equipment, and just to be comfortable with welding. And I called the welder electric lightning because it was like bright and it flashed and it was kind of a white light. My family was always really encouraging of me being an artist. My dad was in theater and set design, and he was at Yale and then chose to be a farmer, you know, years down the road. But he always knew that the art world was a place that you could dwell in.
I've got this nice line down the middle of this. You know, in blacksmithing, it's kind of like you have a lot of say, you have a lot of control over, you know, what direction the metal is moving. So I like it to look handmade, but I don't want a big, you know, dent in it. So I feel pretty happy with that. And what I'll do from this point is I'll cool the whole thing, and then I can start working from this end. See how this end is all, like that's what it started out like? So I'll cool that side, and that'll be the handle, and then I can work with this.
And my mother was a writer, she was a poet, and you know, so they were always very encouraging of me being creative.
Okay, thank you everybody for coming to Corrina Sephora.
Whenever possible, I do create community projects. So one of the other aspects of the exhibition at the Reeves House gallery is I created a community sculpture. Turns out there were a whole series of curtain rods that were donated, and we reaped the best benefit out of that material. And so then we brought that material back to the studio and forged it and kind of processed it and cut it and welded it, and I designed a sculpture. I took myself to breakfast one day and I sat down and I was like, okay, this is all the material we have. You know, we don't really have a big budget for this project, but what can we create? And I had a sculpture at my studio, a boat form that I had started years ago. And so I thought, well, I can use this as sort of like part of the form because it's a cast off, you know, something that didn't work out the way I imagined. We brought all those components together, and then part of it, just like how I met you, we had that work in process, you know, at the Reeves House. And so people that were going along the trail, or there were some people, volunteers, that knew that it was happening, so they were there, and we taught them how to use some of the equipment, and then we brought it back here and finished it. And so there'll be an unveiling of the sculpture, and that's going to be really great, and it'll be a permanent piece in Woodstock.
Just the interest that there's been from people coming here, and people from the community came, and there's a little plaque at the base of the sculpture where we had everyone stamp their names. Being here with the community has been a really big part of it that's made it really show. Yeah.
Okay, thank you everybody for coming to Corrina Sephora's closing reception and grand sculpture reveal.
One of the best parts about coming out here is getting an opportunity to meet all of you. So it's been a real opportunity to get to meet people from the community, and a lot of you, especially you two, have been a big part in volunteering time and energy, and so that's been a lot of fun. I was also thinking while we were building the piece, you know, it's patchwork together with a lot of bits and pieces, and it was like a puzzle. And so there's a child's story that I grew up with called Harlequin. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with it, but it took place in Italy, and it's a young man, and all of these people donated bits and pieces of cloth to make a beautiful cloak for him to go out into the carnival. And so I was thinking I'd like to title the piece Harlequin. It's a juxtaposition of inanimate objects. Enough talking about it, I know the suspense.